Okay, hey, hi, hello, welcome back, Alexander and Codex, etc., etc. I just had to move the boom mic over to the right. That's it. I didn't need to be leaning over talking into it. Of course it gimbals. Yeah, so this, I think, is the final working version of the map before I start implementing it in-game. Oh, God. I may, as I was, go through and give each of these individual nations a spotlight. Some of them will be a lot easier than others if I did that, like talking about the Comanche, or the Sioux, or the various Apache, or Texas, or the Yaqui, or I forget them, but some of these others, especially in here and here, are a little more abstracted and didn't really have a hegemony of control over the area, so representing them this way is a little disingenuous. Basically, the criteria for the nations I've included are certifiable, as good as you can get with 2-century-old data. Population in the 1830s or later of 10,000 or more people. In game, that shows up is 2.5 thousand pops, which is nothing. It's tiny. Basically, it's the same population of the nation of Bremen in 1836. So it's not great, man, but it's enough for the nation not collapse in on itself financially. Wow. No, I spaced out. Totally forgot what the other criteria are. Essentially, the 10,000 mark was the thing that cut so many nations out of here. Obviously, North American nations did not have these borders. These borders are rough amalgamations of state lines and natural and county borders within those state lines. And I think, for the record, that HPM does a pretty good job. I might tweak a couple of things, but I like this enough. So, giving this to the Sioux, in reality, the Sioux roamed over a much greater area and didn't stay within those borders. But because I want the national identity of Sioux, or the Great Sioux Nation, to have access to all their population, I have to take all the Sioux population and stick them in here. Which is kind of shitty, and this area was a lot more interesting and intermixed and shifting borders, but Victoria 2 can't really model that, so I'm not gonna try. Sometimes this is a little bit awkward, like the Cheyenne down here were actually more active up here, but they were the only ones who were super active in here, so it's easy just to push them out of the way. And some liberties were taken with the positioning of nations so that people who were historically allied have their historical enemies in between them to make the AI more likely to lean in that direction, but, who knows. There are no uncolonized territories in North America. None. Because all this fucking land had people on it. Now, the logical extreme, or really not extreme, the next logical step in what I'm saying is, oh, well then maybe Africa shouldn't have any uncolonized territories, and to that I would say, yeah, no, they really shouldn't. The whole colonization system needs to be reworked, but I am only one person. I only have so much time, and I'm gonna have to bust my ass to get this done by the time I wanted it done anyhow, so I'm not adding more to my plate. Yeah, I want to run through real quick. Come on, there we go. Canada and the United States and their transformation over time. So, start date 1836. These are the borders of the United States and Upper Canada. Upper Canada and Lower Canada merge in 1841? Yeah, 1841. And so, by some rights, this should be colored into, but I'm going to go through a bunch of these, and by decade you'll see how the borders will be possible to grow according to event. Now, I still want there to be ways for the player to incorporate indigenous nations. Man, that's such a polite way of saying, like, you know, commit imperialistic genocide or imperialism. Genocide isn't modeled in the game, but it definitely happened in real life. Yeah, I want there to be ways for players to do ahistorical things and go down ahistorical routes, and just, if you really want to, blitz the entirety of North America, but come on. This is just setting up the framework so things will happen roughly as they happened is about the best I can do to keep things on the rails. Anywho, 1830s is what we start with. The 1840s, so the Mexican territories in North America, and these are all the Mexican holdings in what's now the United States and Texas, switch over to the US. Caddo gets annexed. Oh god, the Wintun and Maidu? God, I forget who I arbitrarily gave these provinces to. They're cultural groups, they aren't individual nations, because I had to fudge things a little bit to give it to somebody, because there's so many small tribes and nations in California. It's insane. It's like beautiful, but hard to model into this. Here we have 1841, Upper and Lower Canada becoming the province of Canada. Not a dominion yet. Province? Fuck, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. 1850s, Kansas-Nebraska Act. You have some stuff going on with the Crow and the Blackfoot Confederation. Blackfoot Confederation. You have Puget Sound War. You have the Walla Walla Treaty. I'm actually impressed I'm remembering all of this, because there are hundreds and hundreds of treaties that I've looked up and researched and read to try to figure out, okay, when approximately should I give ownership or opportunity of ownership to this person instead of this person, and is this war more significant than this later war? Like, where does? Yeah, God, it's arbitrary. Now British Columbia did not join Canada until 1871, I think, but I'm doing it in the 1850s because, okay, I'm iffy on it. I'm not decided on this. Either in 1850 or 1851, I think, the United Kingdom will have an event that they fire off to create a vassal here, or dominion here, called British Columbia. And then 20 years later, when the... I forget the name of the railroad. So British Columbia got annexed into Canada because in 1870, a transcontinental railroad was being constructed here. And part of the terms of Canada acquiring British Columbia was they had to pay for the railroad, and Canada wasn't really huge on doing that at the time, so BC was like, that's cool, the Americans will pay for us to get incorporated, and the Canadians built the railroad really quickly. This is a consistent theme in US, Canadian, UK relations at the time. A lot of like the Red River Colony here in 1849, 1850, and 1851 did the same thing, like, we could join Canada, but the US is going to pay us, so we're going to do that. And then I think Prince Edward Island did something similar in the 1878 as well. Yeah, consistent theme of people, and Yucatan tried to do it a couple of times as well, just like, give us money or we'll join the United States. Anyhow, so this is nebulous about the ownership. Then 1860s, you have Seward's Icebox Purchase. Now, I haven't given the US all of Alaska at this time, because they didn't have all of Alaska at this time. For the longest time, really, the only settlement in Alaska was down in here. And it took like 20 more years for settlements to start making their way up here at Fairbanks, etc., because gold, but gold hadn't been discovered that far north yet, so Yankees didn't go that far north, so they didn't establish government and infrastructure of their own design that far north, so nah. The Snake War happened in this time. The Utes were put onto reservation in this time. Who had this? The Long Walk of the Navajo. Yeah. One of the last treaties with the Comanche was around this time. And the last war with the Comanche, I think, was around this time. So we have the Apache. Flatheads. What are they actually called? Flathead, again, in air quotes, is the old word used for them in the documents I've been reading through. Something Reed? Big Reed? No. Fuck, they have a different name in game that lines up to what the nation actually calls itself, but can't remember it. Spokane. Yeah, thank you, Alex. Spokane, Sioux, Cheyenne, and Arapaho? Are you the Arapaho? Or were you the I think you're the Arapaho. Or still independent because the Great Sioux War hasn't happened yet. And now it's happened. Great Sioux War happens in the late 1860s, so this is 1870s? Yeah, sure. 1870s, around this time, treaties are signed, and here Canada actually builds that railroad, makes these part of its country in actuality, establishes infrastructure, and here finally connects with BC. So this is where an event would happen, BC buyout to inherit British Columbia, or I guess the alternative is option 1, spend money, get BC. Option 2, don't spend money, it stays independent, or okay, no. Prompt. Event fires. So British Columbia would have an event that the AI always chooses in 1871 for the railroad. And its flavor, it might give them prestige or some shit, but it won't matter because they'll get erased by the event. What it does is fire an event to Canada. Canada gets an event with 2 choices. Either pay for the railroad or don't. Pay for the railroad costs a lot of money, but it annexes British Columbia. Option 2, fires back to BC with no. The no event to BC then fires, I guess, 2 more options. Send an offer to the Americans, or we're better on our own. The AI will always choose the send offer to the Americans. Do that. Americans can buy it, then bounce back again. And the British Columbia AI, and it's only going to exist for like 6 years, so it hardly seems worth incorporating this way. It doesn't want to exist, so I think I may just give this to Canada early and have an event where they either have to pay money or give it to the United States. Pay money and keep it, or get money from the US and lose it. And again, the AI is just never going to take that, so it's kind of a moot point, but yeah, I need to figure out what I'm doing there a little bit better. 1880s, who are the holdouts here? Yeah, I think it wasn't until like 81 that these folks were marched onto reservation. There was like 1 armed conflict here. The Apache had like 1 last war, and now it's just Oklahoma, Upper Alaska, and Hawaii left to go. And there they go. Hawaii should actually be blue here, but I ducked up. Yeah. So the US is done at this point. You're noticing, probably, Canada still has a lot that's not Canadianized yet. Well, 2 good reasons for that. 1, some of this shit didn't join Canada until way after 1936. Some of this shit never actually technically joined Canada by any treaty and just kind of slowly, subtly got consumed by Canada. And some of this shit, the Arctic in particular, Canada didn't really colonize until the 1940s, and only did so by forcibly relocating Inuit communities up north so that they could claim that Canadians lived there. It's just horrible. It's colonization by bureaucracy. Yeah, so I'm gonna have, in game terms, all this stuff that wasn't colonized until later have a date of 1920, which leaves about 16 years at the end of the game. 1920, that you can take special events to get them ahistorically early, but yeah, so this is what we end up with. Oh yeah, here. This is the mind-numbingly complicated map showing things happening by year. Made in MS Paint and WoW 1890s. Does not show up here. Yeah, this is what we got going on. I'm pretty happy with this. Now, there's a couple of things I'm not super happy with. In the 1840s, I really wanted the US-Mexican border to be sorted, because it was by treaty sorted at that time. But the truth is, a lot of these nations didn't really recognize the authority of the United States for another decade or so, and not meaningfully so for substantially longer than that. Yeah. Now, if you are playing one of these nations, you do not have to be forcibly annexed when a US player or US AI takes the decision to annex it. It'll fire an event, just like Texas gets, where you can choose to be annexed. And the AI will always take this decision because balance reasons, but a player doesn't have to. So as a player, you can play the Sioux and try to take everything over, or play Caddo and try to get back your historical cores, or, Lord, I don't know, release the Cherokee at, and I am expanding the number of cores for the Cherokee Creek. Chickasaw. Who am I forgetting? Oh, this is gonna drive me. No, it's not gonna drive me crazy. I'm gonna open it up in this tab, and I'm gonna see who the fuck I'm forgetting about. This has really gone off topic. I haven't been posting much, or this is the wrong Google Drive. I haven't been talking about what I've been doing much, because basically what I've been doing is rerunning through my logic of who gets what and what goes where. Reading the demographic data and sources that I got to make sure I didn't make any mistakes anywhere, and make sure I didn't want to try different methodology with anything. I've been looking up important dates, trying to find flags or stuff I can use as flags in game for a lot of this. Okay, Bitterroot is what I should be calling the Flatheads. Thank you. And the Choctaw. Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, Cherokee. All are being moved to Indian Territory. Also, Indian Territory, I wanted to make a larger nation than this, because technically Indian Territory was just as far as the Americans were concerned at the time, but it's already weird enough having it be its own thing. It'd be really fucked up having a player play Indian Territory, but I'm putting it in the game, so I guess you could. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do with a flag there, or ideas or events, or God, anything. Really, this is a placeholder entity because it's a nebulous bureaucratic concept. I guess I could just give it to the United States, but Oklahoma Territory wasn't incorporated till the 1890s, so yeah, whatever. Point made. This is the map I'm going to be working towards programming and incorporating and going towards... Is it perfect? No. Do I want feedback? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes, yes. Give me feedback on this. Give me ideas of what you think should be here that isn't here. And real quick, I mean real fucking quick, we're going to run through what everybody are. Okay, this in gray, Apache. Yes, I know the Apache are like 5 different tribes, 5 different nations, but for the sake of the game, Apache. Arapaho are up here, Bitterroot are in here, Blackfoot Confederacy are here, Caddo is here, the Cherokee aren't shown on the map, but they'll have cores. Cheyenne are here. Let's see, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Creek also not shown on the map, but they'll have cores. Coast Salish is this right here, and I know the Coast Salish weren't one nation, but again, I'm not picking favorites, so I'm just combining them into a cultural group and saying this cultural group was hegemonous here. Although it wasn't quite, there was another really big cultural group in here, but Coast Salish, we'll go with that. Comanche, Council of Three Fires, that's what you're called, Three Fires, or Chippewa or Ojibwe, or like, they have their own subdivisions. This is Cree. Now the Cree also, the Iron Confederacy are also culturally Cree, and this should be broken up into smaller regions, but nah, it's too much already. The Crow Nation, Dakelh, Dakel? I have no idea how to say it. This is Dene, which, again, not one nation. This is a cultural group. It just means people, or the people, but none of them were larger than 2,000, so none of them really had a population significantly higher than the others, but I still wanted to assign ownership to someone because it's populated, so it was a weird stopgap we went with. Same thing with the Inuit over here. The Innu have this. There's going to be an event, I think, where Canada's going to get these pretty early, as in the 1870s, and then in Labrador, and this part of Quebec, I'm not sure about. Later, I guess. Yeah, Iron Confederacy, Kalapuya, which, again, I'm fudging a little bit. Maidu? No. This is the Maidu. Mayo? I don't know. Miami won't be featured on the map, but will have cores. Navajo. I don't have the Pueblo on the map. I don't have Pueblo as a nation, even though the Puebloans had a huge population in a substantial area. But they were also contented being occupied, well, not contented, but they were effectively occupied by Mexico and not really incorporated, but occupied. So it seems better to give this half of New Mexico to Mexico. Also, yeah, I wish I had more provinces to throw around down here because Pueblo really deserves something, but no! Newfoundland? I know it wasn't an independent entity, but all of the British colonies are independent, so we can have unique events for them, and Canadian Confederation can work differently. Nez Perce, Osage? Yeah, Osage, Paiute. Again, northern and southern Paiute. 2 different cultural groups. And those are further broken down into smaller divisions as well. But again, for simplicity's sake, for the sake of this map and this game, this is the compromise I'm gonna go with. Who is next? Pawnee are here? Yeah, Pawnee are here. Pomo are here. Potawatomi, again, not on the map, but will have cores. Red River Colony is in here. Red River Colony's real weird, and I kind of wish it didn't exist because it complicated things. The Red River Colony starts out as being the only civilized nation in this area, surrounded by, again, uncivilized neighbors. So you could do some weird shit playing as them. They were technically subjects of the Hudson Bay Company in part of Rupert's Land. So, yeah, and also their border at various times stretched down into here, but Russian-American Company is still going to be featured in the game. Seminole will have a core, I think. The Shawnee will have cores. Shoshone are here in yellow, even though the Shoshone weren't really in this area, they were more in here, but there you go, they're in yellow. Sioux, Spokane, S-Y-I-L-X, Silix? It's a cool fucking word. Texas, Tejas. The Maritimes, let's see, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Cool thing, I was reading about Canadian Confederation and how it happened. The original conference where Newsport, that's not right, something port conference that led to Canadian Confederation was originally between these three talking about making a maritime union up here. So you bet your ass I'm putting that in the game. It's a weird ahistorical route of tiny Canada, maritime union, Canada and Newfoundland being the British colonies up here. The Utes, obviously, Wintun, cultural group again, not an individual tribe. Yakima. The Yakima and the Spokane were not the only ones in this area and really weren't really dominating over the others, but I had to take liberties. Yaqui, Yupik, again, same thing. And that's it. That's all of them. There's a couple dozen. I actually haven't counted. There's a lot, yeah. So it should make North America pretty interesting. I honestly don't really know about the viability and balance of playing any of these. Doesn't seem to me like you have much of a shot of making it big unless you're playing as one of the major powers here. But fuck, man, players do crazy stuff. Yeah, so the way I'm gonna cover the US not going up to internationally agreed borders, and same thing is, and I'm still making my mind up about this. I either want to give the US and Mexico cores over territory that they claimed. The problem with that is revanchism? God, I am way out of focus. It's a mechanic in Victoria 2 with, if you are a nation and you do not own all the cores of that nation, it increases the attractiveness of fascism and not conservative, what's reactionary ideologies, which not great. Not something I want to do because it'll fuck a lot with the political model here, but I might try it. Or I'm just gonna have them guaranteed or something. We'll figure out a way to make it difficult, but not impossible, for players to break the mold and do things. Yeah, because I would like there to be the possibility that a United States player could just go fucking hog wild and start annexing all this. But it'd be a real shame if there weren't a mechanic in place to punish the player for doing that or get the United Kingdom involved, because the UK and Canada did care about this border and did care about this territory and did consider it to be, if not theirs, then under their authority or protection. So I'll play with that a little bit. But yeah. This is what we got for now. Let me know your thoughts. This has been, oh god, half an hour. Yeah, it's about right for me, just prattling on. Anywho, I'm gonna get out of here for now. More updates soon. Till then, toodaloo, take care. Bye-bye. Or, don't stop recording. Bye-bye.